Welcome, everyone. This is Nichel Anderson. I'm your host for my podcast show, Surviving Your Journey Towards Success. Thank you so much for joining me for this week. This will be episode 60 of my podcast from March to 25th. And the show topic is entitled How to Spring Forward to Get Joyfulness, right? To get joy in your life, right? To be happy, find that joyfulness and mental peace. So, how can you spring forward? So let's go ahead and get started. So in this day, I'm thankful to the prime creator of all things that I give thanks for this blessing and opportunity that I will use it for the greater good. So welcome my survivors to the journey of my podcast that aims to inspire and motivate that you will continue to have joy, peace of mind, and for your sustained success. So, in this particular episode of my podcast show, I would like to hold on motivational tactics that can help you to spring forward in your life on the positive things rather than those that are not so, and that prevents you to find the joyfulness in your life. So let's focus on how we can learn ways to filter through the noise in our busy life to get to the goodness and the unseen of things that can bring us happiness. Okay, so focus on that to give us a smile for us to continue on for another day. So let me get to my first segment here, which is the important point I like to state in the beginning is that to spring forward is how you feel about what you can do, not what you can't do, that leads to a happier state of mind, for you to be happier, for you to equal to receive your joyfulness in your heart for your mental peace. So my next part is the wisdom point. And what that is that when we choose to move forward with the spirit effort, we can assure that we are moving in the alignment that serves for our greater good. Now, why is this so? Springtime is forward moving. There are new blooms of flowers. It's a new beginning, and it's a start of the year. Rather than when I look at January, I see that as more of a prep phase for the year to start, that's about to start. And although it's an important seed to get the year started, that's planted in the first of the month of the year, by the third month in springtime, here it is where you can actually start moving, putting it all in position and running with it, right? And it's in the area of your life that you have to take a look at what needs to turn the next page, to go the next step. And that's where I see when we look at the months in particularly, or even if the springtime in your area on this planet is different. When we look at the seasons, in the United States we say we have 4 seasons, okay? Summer, fall, winter, and spring. And spring to me symbolizes a new start, a new hope. And with hope, anything is possible when we choose to move forward. And with that, let's focus on who are we actually talking about, those where might not want to choose or see how you can spring forward. So everything at times, or everybody at times get moody, regretful, and not wanting to move because they are stuck in the past. So you have to choose in a way that you get over the past and that you get doing and get busy. And when those emotional pains scream for more of your attention, that you speak an affirmation. You say it like this. You say, I can't change the past, but I can make it happen forward in the now and future. So not today in misery. All right. And you got to think that when you speak that, you're basically saying, I will work towards the healing, what's needed to be healed in time, or I will work towards and you can fill in the blank. If you want to be really, really specific to what you're going through now, helps you actually to move, to spring forward. You want to be jogging or doing a sprint or whatever. You want to be moving those arms and those legs and your mind and your heart on a new you. It takes time, like any journey, any pathway, but if you keep going at it, you can get through it. So, and I also want to kind of focus on it. If you need more help on any type that deals with an emotional pain of that restriction of moving on and to spring forward, just check out my previous podcast episodes, and that's episode 8 and episode 9. And as well as there's another podcast I did on forgiveness, and that's episode 27 and episode 28. And then I did part 3 on forgiveness, and that is episode 53. So go and check that out, and I will repeat that. That'll be episode 8, episode 9, and then check out episode 27, 28, and episode 53. All right, those last 3 that I just named are on forgiveness. The first 2, episode 8 and episode 9, deal with emotional pain, how you can get through it. Okay, so what are we actually talking about? Well, spring forward is a movement, and without movement, there is no life. If you think about it, seeds are planted and it continue on in each phase into the end result or to the primary result of its purpose. And that can be with plants, flowers, food, trees, people, humanity. You start at one point of time and then you progress over time. Now, sometimes even though we're people, even people get older, it doesn't mean they get wiser or they stop making the choices that are or negative. They continue to do it. And those individuals choose not to spring forward, they choose to stay in stagnation. And what you want to focus on so you could do differently is look at the end goal. When I mentioned about planting seeds, the end goal is to get the fruit off of that particular plant that is going to bloom food to eat. And you need to eat because it's painful if you're not eating, right? Over time, your body got to eat something. And so the end goal is to continue on and to nurture the plant and to spring forward and to wait and be patient. Okay, so you got to get moving. You got to believe in yourself. That's really how you start to choose how to or to do the spring forward motion. And when you do that you find your joyfulness in your heart, and you find the mental peace that comes with it. They're two Siamese twins: mental peace and joyfulness. Joyfulness, having joy, and peacefulness. They come together because they're on the divine of happiness. So you have to also remember that we can't change the past, and all that we can do is put in motion in our choices and actions of the now for the present, and plan to really execute by doing. And that's by speaking, that's by writing, or if you don't write and you just do texts or whatever it is, it's action equals to execute. That empowers the future to be healed and be committed for the balance. And that means you have to do it on a consistent manner. Sometimes it takes us a while, but when that little alarm say go or get up or what have you, you jump up and you move. Because in that we get to our heart's joyfulness and the root of it, of what we need. And what we need is to move forward. Nothing sustains life that doesn't move, that has no being in a sense to want to go in a direction. Right? You can't sleep forever. You got to get up and you have to deal with it. And when you deal with it and you keep moving and you find things that make you happy, that's how you can spring forward and continue to go forward. When you find some things, sometimes we got to, it's just like as a child, you have to eat certain vegetables that you didn't like. And sometimes parents are creative that they'll put, or sometimes it's something good on the plate that you can eat. And so you sometimes eat that first before you eat the part that you don't really like. And over time, you kind of look at it and you just like, well, I just got to get it done. And then you find yourself eating the vegetable that you don't really like first, and then enjoying the sweetness of the dessert afterwards, or the other food item that you're much more comfortable with and like. You like the taste of it and all. So you have to approach things in life in that way, that eventually overall on your plate you're going to get to all of it, sometimes a nibble at a time. But the main point is that you're not refusing not to move forward, you're actually springing forward to get it done. So you will eat everything off your plate. Oh, for some of us over time, most of it, until you get to the point you can eat all of it, because it's a good thing in the end. All right. And I want you to take away this was just keep coming to me for this episode, is that you have to keep telling yourself that you can't change the past. I know I wish I could on some of the things. You have no idea. I would be the first person in line. Whatever they say to pay, I try to come up with the money, something, or whatever they say they need to be for me to be able to get to the point that I can change the past. You better believe it. You hear me? I would change it in a heartbeat, in a second of a second, whatever. Oh my goodness. There are some areas I would love to change. But then I have to come to the whole truth of that I can't change the past. So all that I can do, all that we could do is put in motion in our choices and our actions of the now, of the present, and plan to really execute the future to heal and be committed to that balance by executing it, right? And that we can get our heart's joyfulness, that we can get our mental peace as well, and we get our happiness. So don't believe Mr. Fear that you can never get in a state that you're happy. On the contrary, you just get busy. You get busy on some of the things that you like I said, that plate of food. You eat, nibble on some of the food that you really like. It tastes so good, and then you work on the areas that is holding you and tying you down, and giving you a false sense of worth even when you're making an effort. And I want to say this right here: those that felt that I did this and did that and I'm ashamed of it and this, you can't let Mr. Fear continue to put that over you. You know your way out. If you don't have time to go back and read and listen to those podcasts that I named off, this is the takeaway, to keep it short and sweet. Okay, I still encourage you to go listen to it because it's good and it can help you. But nonetheless, to get to the point, for someone in that predicament and you don't want to spring forward because you got the past holding on you, you just got to make an effort to start planting good seeds of D's. Acknowledge your role by accepting the truth, and you be committed to the balance, and then that will get you to where you can knock down Mr. Fear and shut him up and say, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to spring forward to get my happiness. It's going to be a journey. It's going to be some rough patches. But along the way, I know people are going to appear in my life at the right time to help me, because I'm helping myself. I'm acknowledging the responsibility that is mine, right? I'm not taking everybody else, because a lot of people like to do that. Well, you need to do this. You need to take care of that. Well, this is your responsibility. And some of that stuff's not even yours. Take what's yours. Don't be adding all that extra on your back, right? Because that's not in balance. In balance, you put the substance over here, put the other part over there, and it creates the balance of the scale. Once you start adding more to one side that don't really belong to you, that's extra weight. Extra pain is unnecessary. You got to get to the root of things. The root is truth, and that's what you got to take away. All right, let's look at strategy to succeed. You got to do something that you never did before. Change the game. If you've been doing this a certain way and this has been like, I don't know, a long time, change it. Okay, you know what? I think I'm going to choose this way. I think I'm going to actually talk to this person and see, I'm actually going to change this up and maybe do it in a different way. Maybe it might be a little bit more ambitious or a little bit more risk. I'm going to just, you just need to do it differently, whatever you're going through, just holding you back to spring forward. And you got to take up a class or something that you think you can do. You got to find something, if you're not already finding something that you feel good about and you know that you can do it without any like, well, I'm just not good at this. Find something that you are good at, right? That's what you want to do, because you got to have something on that plate that you can go to reinforce you, because sometimes you're not going to have everybody around that's motivating you. Sometimes you might don't feel like listening to a podcast and getting to what you need. You need that infusion of positivity, of motivation, to get you to be in that spring forward attitude, that spring forward motion. So by picking up a hobby or doing something or attending a class, it could be aerobics, it could be, I don't know, karate, it could be learning how to paint, just throwing anything in there on top of what else that you're working on that is a much of a struggle, either emotional or financial or something, or mental or something like that, that is holding you back. It's going to take some time. You got to offset that you're focusing on something else. Trust me, it works. The second thing is that for those that are stressed out with so much stuff going on, you want to take a break of the mayhem. As a referee that say you need to take 5 or 30-minute break, and you need to sit and you need to think of what is good, and you need to focus on your breathing. Breathing helps you to de-stress, to remove that stress, and you can have that you can accomplish certain things while you're more calmer. When we're not calm and we're in anxiety mode and worried about this and that, we make decisions that we normally won't make, right? And by taking moments out of your day, preferably every day. If you can't do it every day because you're so busy, then pick a day out of the week where you work on to get that every day. 5 minutes at a time. You're just sitting, you're just thinking. Try not to think of too much what's going on. And if you got to focus on an object, maybe you could do that. Focus on something right in before you, in front of you, and you're just staring at it for a minute or 2 minutes, hopefully 5 minutes. And that helps you to kind of declutter all that crap and reduce the stress. Stress can prevent you to want to move forward, prevent you to wanting to spring forward, okay? And you have to tell yourself in that moment when you're taking that break that you can move, that you do know this, that you will see what needs to be seen, right? You will find the things that needs to be found, and to build up from that. And you can build up from that like a mountaintop of something that will give you the hope to spring forward with not so much stress. Okay, so your task to dusk to dawn is that you got to do a list of things that are good in your life every week. And by creating that list, you want to look at it in a way that you can go back to and be proud and be grateful of what you do have in your life. And that by you continue to move forward, by you choosing to spring forward, that's how you do it. You have to look at what you already have done and make that list, and every month or every few months you make a new list. You start over and you rewrite it, and that helps you to be grateful and thankful and appreciative, which you probably already are, but it's just a way for you to remember. And I actually did that years ago, which I need to do a podcast on worry, because oh my gosh, that is Mr. Fear. He loves worry. Ooh, when he sends out worry, it's always a mess. And something just told me to write down what I'm thankful for and what's that's in my life or what have you. And I did that, and that's why I had so many pages. I probably told this story before on a previous podcast, but it's worth repeating. And it helps for you to not only de-stress, but it helps you to get in focus that, heck, if I did all of this, or I have this, and I'm not saying, I really wasn't naming things, too much. It was just the overall being of humanity of what you have in your life. And look what I could do if I keep going, if I spring forward. I found joyfulness when I did. See, it gets you motivated and you release all that burden. So your motivational takeaway is to spring forward. Is an opportunity to get some joyfulness in your life that spreads into other areas of your life that might still be in a mess type of state of status. But with each moment forward, you tend to get those areas under control over time. You just got to make the first and continue move that spring you forward. Thank you for joining me for my podcast episode from my podcast show, Surviving Your Journey to Success, just to give you some information to not only stay in contact, but with the other things that I offer. I provide career consultation, offering the first 30 minutes are free. Thereafter, there is a fee access afterwards per hour and can be discussed on a case-by-case basis, depending on your need. So if it is an emergency and you need some consultation regarding your career or choices that you're about to make moving forward, in a sense, in your personal type objectives, then you can definitely contact me. The primary way to contact me is by email, which is info@nichelanderson.com. Now, I do have a toll-free number on my website. Now, that is actually only for webinars when I'm doing like a free webinar and you're calling in. once that number is through that medium. And it's only really for that. So it's not really connected to me directly. Now, I am working on that, but for right now, it's not really. And when that changes, you would definitely get a notice of that to go forward. So just to recap, my primary way is info@nichelanderson.com. All right, so the other thing I want to share with you is that I also provide business courses and self-improvement courses. So that overall objective is to help you to create strategies that work for you, to get you motivated, to identify the ways to get your or keep your joy and your mental peace. So I do provide that on the basis of your objective to gain success, and as I like to say, sustain success. You can find information on my courses that I release on my official website, which is www.nichelanderson.com, and you can go there and you can look at the different courses that I am releasing that are available. These courses are self-paced. They will be identified if they're considered to be like live sessions on a regular basis, but for the most part they are self-paced. During that time, I do have live sessions that once you have signed up for the course, you will see that in the schedule of what days that I'm available live, that you can talk to me and we can go over the courses going forward, right, on those particular topics. So that information is basically on my website that you can go to, which is nichelanderson.com. Now, I want to do a special call out for listeners that I have seen in my stats that are following me, continue to follow me, which I am thankful for. Now, to get connected more, to stay connected, I'm asking you to consider to join my newsletter that I do send out. And to do that, you just have to submit, of course, your name and your email. I don't spam. You could always request to be taken off the list. I don't send thousands of emails because I don't like thousands of emails from a particular source. So I keep it in a way that's informative, of course, because obviously you like the content because you hear and you enjoy it and you're getting something from it, which pleases me. To expand that and to move forward and to get into other ways that I can expand what I'm trying to do is to form a newsletter, to get that set up in the sense that I'm communicating that I can send that out more quickly, actually, through a podcast or any type of thing or production that I'm doing, where a newsletter is more, in the sense, faster to get that contact and to send it out on blast, right? And more opportunity to send more content compared to like social media characters to be able to get that message out. So do consider that to join my newsletter by providing, and you can find that link at the end of each episode. I have that link to basically to sign up here for Nichel E-List Tips newsletter. And you could do that and you can see that and click, and it's a short form, online form. It is secured and you can complete that. All right, the other thing I want to talk about is basically to subscribe to this podcast. If you haven't, please go ahead. Of course, this is going through Podbean. I have 2 podcasts. This one, of course, you're listening to is Surviving Your Journey to Success. And you can subscribe. Of course, you should see the subscribe button here at the bottom of this episode or at the top, whichever device that you're using. Now, I'm also available on iHeartRadio, on Spotify, on Google Play, on iTunes, and any other podcast directories for feed distribution. You can connect that way and subscribe, and if you like it, share it. Now, I am on social media, and so you do hear me a lot talk about Twitter. I'm mostly active on Twitter. I'm also active on Facebook. For the most part right now is Twitter, and I like the whole concept of keeping it short and sweet. In my closing, I want to say thank you again for joining me today. Here is my closing statement for you. Be you that strengthens and inspires your ability to be strong in your journey endeavor. It's a good thing towards your mental peace and joy, always to your success.